opening remarks. There's a reason this is called the American Music Fairness Act, because the way
Yeah, we're not
it is
asking.
unfair, hold on,
That's
if it
right.
was unfair decades ago, is it more or less fair today given the change in technology, the change in the industry? It's not just
Yes,
radio
it's more
revenues or
unfair.
not, it's
It's more
streaming.
unfair now because once 1980 or so, when Napster started downloading and all that, and remember, we're only talking about in this bill AM, FM. We're not talking about
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to my colleague, Alex Padilla, for this legislation. Appreciate all of you testifying today. Mr. Simmons, I want to ask you about the song Beth, but you're not here for that, so I'm not going to. What I would, and I love that song. I love all your songs. And thank you for bringing my Cusimano constituents with you. What I'd like to ask you, you've been obviously performing for quite a while. When you began your career, there was a kind of understanding that I think was the rationale for this injustice that, well, if radio stations are playing your music, you're getting advertising, more people are buying your albums. Obviously, the industry has completely changed, and the way people access music has completely changed. But if you could talk a little bit about how the industry has evolved and what it means today not to be compensated. That is, I would imagine whatever promotional value you get of your songs played on the radio doesn't somehow create enough recompense to make up for the lack of being paid for those songs being played on the radio.
Well, first and foremost, what you say is so, but I want to cut to the chase, which is when we first began, we were four knuckleheads off the streets of New York who could barely spell, read, or write. We just happened by ourselves. We never knew. No one. Artists are not qualified to understand the business model. We didn't have a business manager. I didn't know that once you get a song that goes on radio, radio is not going to pay you to play the song. But they will have the right, I will say this again, they have the right to use our name and likeness. And you're talking about trademarks. You use my trademark without my permission. Otherwise, I'm going to take your house and your firstborn. Are you kidding me? So radio uses billboards across the country's highways of America to promote the radio stations so that people will tune into their station because they are hearing our voice on their station so they can sell advertising. And more power to you. You should be making more money, become more successful, but the new artists are not going to get their fair shake. There are barely record companies left. The entire music industry is in disarray, and all these pennies are so important, especially for tomorrow's stars who are being born today. This is for our children and for our children's children. We can't just let them out in the cold and not have a way to get paid for their hard work.
Thank you.
My time is over. Before I recognize Senator Padilla, I think Beth was a good song. It was Peter Criss who sang leads, the drummer. Senator Padilla.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to all the witnesses for your participation today. I do want to begin with questions for Mr. Simmons, and I especially appreciate you because you're not just here advocating for your own self-interest, you're advocating for all artists.
No, I think that's not the headline. The headline is I've done well thanks to the American dream. And I often say God bless America, and people think I say it for a soundbite. I'm the proud son of a concentration camp survivor, and for me, those words mean something, and we should all get over the cornball, eye-raising things and realize where we're living. This ain't about me, my friend.
That's what
because I've done very well because America gave a first-generation legal immigrant the chance to do well, and it was not easy. I had to learn the language. I had to stop talking like this, dress British, think Yiddish. You know what I mean. You had to learn the culture, claw my way up to the top with three other guys that understood it with no managers, no nothing. Do it the old-fashioned way. Roll up your sleeves. America's giving you the chance. The rest is up to you. It's not about me. I'm on top of Mount Olympus. As I said before, I was thinking of buying the building. This is about the future of our
the point
children.
I'm trying to make, because you've been blessed and you've done well. And I think there's a misperception in the general public that most artists, if they kind of recognize the name, oh, they must have made it. They're all on top of Mount Olympus, but that's not the case. So what I want to hear from you is kind of reflect back to the earlier stages of your career. What would these type of royalty payments mean for emerging artists who are trying to build their career?
Every little bit helps. At the outset, I understand that a brand new artist isn't necessarily going to help a radio station get to a point, but perhaps I scratch your back. When they get bigger, they'll be more appreciative of WXRP or whatever that's called, and say, "You were there for me then. I'm going to be," sort of. It's about relationships. But if you work hard, the American way is you must get paid. You cannot verbally or otherwise, ethically, morally, and perhaps once this bill is passed, legally, validate the notion that somebody who works hard is going to get nothing, while a corporate entity, well-meaning though it may be, is receiving $14 billion just this last year.
And as you articulated in your opening remarks, there's a reason this is called the American Music Fairness Act, because the way
We're not asking
unfair. Hold on,
That's
if
right.
it was unfair decades ago, is it more or less fair today, given the change in technology, the change in the industry? It's not just radio
It's
revenues
more
or
unfair.
not,
It's more
streaming.
unfair now because once 1980 or so, when Napster started downloading and all that, and remember, we're only talking about in this bill AM, FM. We're not talking about streaming or anything else. That's for another bill, another time with other folks. It's a simple idea. My friend, when I go on the highways of America, is my radio station, and I'll turn to AM or FM to hear the music I want to hear, and they're playing it and charging advertising and so on. The people who are on that, who are singing my favorite song, are getting zero for that performance. That's got to change. I don't know if I answered your question, but I thought I was profound anyway.
Absolutely, absolutely. My last question, my time remaining, is for Mr. Huppy. Can you